Hello again, and welcome back to Zing. We're meeting today to talk about services and nonprofit agencies. Remember when we said a product could be an idea, a thing, or a service? And that's true. We usually tend to think of a product as something we can hold in our hand, something we can look at or maybe taste or smell or touch. But that's not always the case. In fact, about 75 to 80% of the businesses in the United States are based on service, either completely or partly. If you think about all the things you pay money for, you'll realize that most of them are services. Grocery, beauty cuts, haircuts, nail salons, doctors' visits, cleaning, dry cleaning, house cleaning, dog grooming, education. All of those things are services, and we sometimes have a hard time dealing with that. And trying to think of how to market them because they are so different from just a concrete product. There are four ways that services differ from tangible products, and one is that they are intangible. That means we can't taste, touch, smell, or feel them, or do any of those things with our senses. They're something other. Another thing is they're inseparable. It's totally impossible to separate a service from the time it's purchased. It has to be consumed and purchased at the same time. For instance, I got my hair cut a few minutes ago, and it still is looking a little bad, but I got my hair cut, and even though I was pressed for time, I would have loved to have been able to stop by my beautician's and ask her to cut my hair while I was at the grocery store. It's impossible unless you're wearing a wig. You can't drop your arm off when you've broken it at the doctor's office and ask to pick it up after it's been cast. So they are inseparable. They have to be purchased and consumed at the same time. Of course, we understand takeout food and other such things are slightly different, but for the most part, services are inseparable. They're also perishable. A hotel room that goes unsold and unrented goes away forever, the rent on that property. That's why Hotels.com has done such a good job recently, and Priceline. They know that the average hotel is only about 50% occupancy, and even less sometimes on weekends, because so much of hotel business is during the week when business travelers are going. So they make deals with various hotels to purchase for a fraction of the cost, purchase those rooms and resell them. They resell them for less than the hotel would be asking, but for more than they paid. So everybody essentially is happy. The customer is happy because they got a room at a better price. The hotel is happy because they at least got something instead of nothing. And Hotels.com is happy because they have made a profit. One of the people in another intern class told us today that you can actually call the hotel directly and tell them what Hotels.com is asking for that room, and they'll generally match it, which would make everybody but Hotels.com happy. So that's one way of really cashing in on the perishability. Once the opportunity to rent the room or sell the plane ticket has gone away, then it's gone forever. And finally, they're homogeneous. And they're heterogeneous. If you can think of the two prefixes, hetero and homo, you already know what that means in terms of sexual orientation, but it's also used in many other phrases, such as homogenized milk. Milk used to come when it comes out of the cow and is left to sit, it separates in the very skim part of the milk and the butter fat that's on top. The homogenization process combines all of those so that it's no matter where it is in the bottle, it's exactly the same, and that is what homo means, is same. Hetero means different, and in this term, heterogeneous means that services are different. They vary greatly from one person to another. For instance, even though we have an outstanding cosmetology department here at MCC, people who come out of that department are trained in the same way, but because they are different people with different gifts and talents, their services are going to vary greatly. Even McDonald's, as you noticed when you went online to see the McDonald's websites in other countries, even McDonald's in other countries is different. You cannot expect it to be exactly the same. So for that reason, services are also very difficult to judge. I put a thing in your job task and asked you to look at how to it's the 5 ways we judge services. We judge them if they're responsive, if they act quickly, if our orders are met, if they're reliable, the same service every time. If we feel like they know what they're doing, if we feel like they understand them, and if they assure us that they care about us, that empathy category. Some of these are especially important when you're dealing with body, like doctors and nurses. Others not so much. Chili's for a while was offering a 10-minute free lunch, not on everything on their menu, but on certain items that were relatively easy to put together and to serve. And they did this to show that they could get the business diner in and out quickly. Most of us have 45 minutes to an hour for lunch, and if you count in travel on that, then you really don't have that much time to eat. So they really did this to attract the business customer, and have done a good job. Finally, in our creative meeting, we have a client, James Cook, who has purchased a family restaurant in Waco, and he has asked us to do some mystery shopping at local restaurants. He wants to find out what other people are doing well, his customers especially, find out what they're doing well and what they're doing wrong, so he can copy what they're doing well and avoid some of the things that they're doing badly, and then report back to them. So I've asked you to mystery shop one of your favorite restaurants and then talk about what they do in the service quality. When we're marketing services, we really need to look at the intangibles as well as the things that we can't really touch and smell. For instance, have you ever been to a restaurant, placed your order, and then gone to the restroom and found out it was filthy and dirty? That really makes you think you don't want to eat there anymore, because you know that is where the employees and the people who are cooking your food have washed their hands and gone to the restroom. So those are some of the tangibles. The way it smells, the way the food smells, good or bad, the cleanliness, everything about it that will make or break a restaurant. So take a few minutes to think about someplace you and your family like to go, and think about the things you like and the things you don't like, and then report back to us and let James Cook know what he would like, what would be a good thing for him. And finally, in Chit Chat, tell us about a service that you're aware of. It might be one that you use, a nonprofit. It might be your church. It might be a service in which you volunteer, but something in the nonprofit realm that you're familiar with, and talk about the good things they're doing and how we might be able to market them. So you're doing a great job. We're nearing the finish line, and I will see you next week. Bye.